Hey guys, I thought I would show you the short box challenge. I ran into a little problem when doing the short box challenge is that I have all of my comics labeled, so it wouldn't be that exciting to go through a whole set of comics when you have dividers for every single comic book that you have and it's organized. But I did find one box that I could do this with that is not fully organized is this box down here. Alright, so here we go. This is my CGC books that I have graded, and one of my biggest pet peeves is when people show videos and their comics just flop around from side to side when they're doing their videos. One thing that I got from work is these foam squares that I put in here so that you don't have any slack between the comics and that they don't fall over when showing stuff. So I'll actually remove that. And here we go with the first comic book. First one is going to be American Vampire, number 5, a Paul Pope cover, and I really like this one. This is probably my favorite American Vampire cover, and that's Pearl right there. Next, I have the first appearance of Mary Jane. It's a 9.0, number 42. And I believe this is my first CGC comic that I went out and purchased. Probably has to be almost like 15 years ago. And I got that at San Diego Comic Con. Next is just an Amazing Spider-Man 8.5, number 66. And I got my retailer that I usually go to all the time. He sometimes gets some CGC comics, and he's not really a CGC dealer, so he gives me good deals on these. And so I ended up getting this one. Pretty cool cover. Next one is a big one for me. This is The Death of Gwen Stacy. This is one of those comics that I wanted to make sure that I got a near mint when I bought, and you know, of course, when getting a grade this high, you're going to have to pay the price for it. But you can't go wrong with the first, or The Death of Gwen Stacy. And along with that one, for my 30th birthday, I ended up buying The Death of the Green Goblin, the first Green Goblin, which is a 9.4. I actually have it in a sleeve. So, there it is. Really good looking cover. Another one that was the cover I wanted was this Hobgoblin cover. For a minute, I was trying to get all the very first appearances of him, and this is in a 9.0. Next is the first appearance of Cindy Moon Silk, and this is, I believe, a 1 in 10 variant by Humberto Ramirez, and that's in a 9.8. Next, I have the Avengers 257, which is the first appearance of Nebula, and I ended up getting this just because it was a really good price, also a 9.8. I believe this is the only PGX comic that I own. At the time, I couldn't really find a Hobgoblin cover, and this is a classic cover, Amazing Spider-Man. But I found this for really cheap, and I ended up buying it. But one of the problems with it that I noticed is that it looks like there's a little bit of an ink stain right there. That probably dropped the value. And of course, it's a PGX, really old slab. Alright, next one is Avenging Spider-Man number 9. The first Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel, and a 9.8. After they relaunched Rebirth, one of the comics I really fell in love with was the Detective Comics, and in there I tried to get a couple of the first appearances of the characters that were in there, and of course this is the first Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, and that's a 9.8. I'm really into first appearances, if you can't tell. Next is the first appearance of Kamala Khan. This is a 9.8, Captain Marvel number 14. And maybe one day I'll get the Amanda Conner, but that's a really high price ticket item now. I've shown this in one of my other videos, but this is also Captain Marvel 17. I believe this is the first cover, second print of Kamala Khan on a cover. So I had to get this regraded due to a hair being trapped inside the inner layer. But that's my Captain Marvel 17 second print. Another character that after the Flash show started, I really wanted some critical storylines from it. I ended up buying this Final Crisis 9.8 number 8, and you can't go wrong with the classic cover. Next is my Crisis on Infinite Earth number 12, and I believe this is the death of the Flash, Barry Allen, and like I said, I was collecting some Flash at the time. And this is actually signed by George Perez. Now, there was a series called Secret Six a while back ago, and one of the characters I fell in love with was Catman. And when I saw this cover, I couldn't resist and buy his first appearance. I haven't seen any at really high grades, but I fell in love with this cover, and I found out a good price on eBay, and I ended up buying it. Next is Detective Comics number 647, and this is the first Stephanie Brown. Sorry for the glare. Next is, I believe this is the second series of The Flash. I could be wrong on that. And just the classic Flash cover that I ended up picking up. And going with my Miss Marvel theme, this is the 9.8 of Miss Marvel number 1. And it's just good to have in your collection. I'm a huge Robert Kirkman fan. And when Outcast came out, I have this as in a regular a non-CGC comic, but I thought it would be nice to have a 9.8, especially when you can find these for really cheap at certain times. Now, when this cover came out for Thor number 1, I basically fell in love with it, and I ended up buying it, and this is Assad Ribic, and I can't remember if this is a 125 or a 1 in 50, but sorry about the glare, but there you go. Jane Foster as Thor. This is going to be probably my most expensive Michael Turner cover. And hold on, let me take it out of the sleeve, sorry. Okay, it's going to be my Wolverine number 66, and this is a 9.8. Of course, the Old Man Logan storyline, and just a great cover. Alright, one of the first comic book series that really got me back into comics back in the early 2000s was the Ultimate Spider-Man. And I believe this is the actual first comic that I sent off to CGC at LA Comic Con, WizardCon, and I was hoping that this would come back as a 9.8, but I ended up getting a 9.6, but I'm really, really happy with that still, after all those years ago. Another Ultimate Spider-Man. I believe this is the Joe Quesada cover, #1. It's also a 9.6, but very memorable cover. So while I was getting a couple of them graded, I also ended up buying, or not buying this, I ended up getting this graded. This was out of my personal collection, and I dropped that off with also the #1 white cover. Now, these aren't really worth anything anymore, but at the time, they were going relatively high. Next, I have Vengeance #1, 9.8, and this is the first appearance of the Nullifier. It says Myco, Radioactive Kid, the New, Black Knight, and of course, Miss America Chavez. Just a nice wraparound cover that I ended up buying was the Venom 3. I believe this was like a Frankie's comic, and it wraps around. You can't even see it, it's so dark, but there's Spider-Man somewhere along there. Now, a couple of CGC comics, but comics that I got from my retailer that are kind of valuable and that I really like are my my black and white issue of Walking Dead #150. I still need to get this graded, but it was going for a pretty penny, so I have it in this box. Now, finishing off my Ultimate Spider-Man set, I ended up having to buy this. This was the end of my favorite Spider-Man story and character, and for, you know, my age, was the Ultimate Spider-Man from the 2000 run. And I meant, this is one of the saddest endings of Uncle Ben and Peter going to heaven together. That one I still need to also get graded. Now, blue chip items, Holy Grail. I saved these two for last. These are probably my most expensive comics in my collection. There's a full story to this one that I'll probably eventually tell in. I haven't figured out what segment I want to name it, but I'll show you what it is. But this is my Walking Dead #1, and it's a 9.6. And this is the highest grade that I could buy, probably a year before the TV show came out. But I knew if I didn't buy it then, that I'd probably never own it. Like I said, I'll eventually tell the full story of this one day in a video. But blue chip, definitely. Alright, and for my last comic, this is my most expensive comic that I own, and I just bought this a couple months ago. I haven't shown it off of any videos yet, but here it is, and everyone should own one, is my Hulk 181. And that's the end of my short box video. Hope you guys liked it. And that's the only short box I have that's not organized. So, let's just do a quick wave of them. And that's it. Thanks guys for watching.